Right at this moment, there are men everywhere, doing manly things. Beards unkempt, hair run amok, leaving them in a state of hair despair. And that's just what we can see. Never mind what's going on downstairs. But it doesn't have to be that way. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and enter our promo code FINSUP to save an instant 20%, get free shipping, and help quell the hair despair in your life. These bearded bros are counting on you. Won't you help them?
Welcome to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphin podcast. We have a very special guest host on loan from DolphinsTalk.com, Ian Berger. So without further ado, I will now turn the show over to Ian. Ian, how's it going?
Good, guys. How's it going? It's so nice to see you all. It has been probably a couple months since the last time I joined you all for a podcast, so I do appreciate you inviting me and allowing me to be on tonight with you guys, because I think this is a really exciting episode. But, of course, as normal with the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast, as you saw, we have Brian Byrne, who is the dad joke of the day expert extraordinaire. And then also we have Savak Melton, who is also an extraordinaire with amazing hair, as I like to say. But in addition to these guys, we're honored to be joined by 6-year NFL pro, former Miami Dolphins guard, Jamie Nails. Jamie, how are you doing, sir? How have you been?
Great. How about you?
You know what? Loving life, going through a football season, which I thought we never would have had, and just excited that we're able to watch football every Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was a little skeptical at first, especially with no training camp, but I think it's coming along pretty good.
Absolutely.
No, exactly. And I think I know Brian. Brian, you got some great questions, I think, for Jamie. So I'm going to let you kind of take it away here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, just like Fitz, you played for the Bills before moving on to the Dolphins. Ryan recently said on the Adam Schefter podcast that Buffalo was his favorite NFL city. I know you're not going to make that same mistake. What was your favorite NFL city?
I mean, I enjoy Buffalo, but I will say Miami, you can't beat the weather. You can't beat. I mean, the contrast for me being from the South. I mean, I like the city there. You know, that's the only thing going up there. So they have their football team, but the weather, man, is just the pits. I mean, that snow. You can never get used to that. I don't care how long you live there. So if I had to pick a city, I'd say definitely Miami.
I went to the university at Buffalo, and I wholeheartedly agree with you that weather is the pits.
Yes, it is. Terrible.
And I thought it was the beard, but Jamie, I see you're growing a real nice beard as well. So it's definitely not the beard. I thought it was all right because he's got the beard. He'd want to be in the cold weather, with the snow, and got the Viking look going on, right? Because you automatically think, especially with Ryan with that beard, I think of him with horns and Viking, the whole 9 yards. But I'm born and raised down here in Miami. I would not have it any other way. In snowstorms or whatever you get up there in Buffalo, it is definitely better to be down here, in my opinion.
Yes, it is. You can have a beard, an afro, a head full of hair on your whole body. It doesn't matter, man. When it's cold, it's cold. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. So, I mean, I like the beard for style, but if I had to use, I'd much rather have the beautiful weather in South Florida than to be up there.
Agreed. So I actually have the pleasure of the next question, and this is actually regarding something that Ricky Williams said on the Fish Tank. He actually said, and I'll quote what he said. He said, "The person who had the biggest impact on him, being Ricky, was Jamie Nails. Just his attitude. He just came to work every day, and he was fun. And as hard we worked to be with guys who are out there having fun, to me, that's what it's all about." So how are you able to keep that attitude and really be an inspiration to guys like Ricky and other players on the team?
Well, I think for me, it was more in between my coming to Miami from Buffalo. I was there in Miami for a few games of the preseason, and then I got released. And during that time, that season, I was out, and I was actually doing some coaching at Dillard High School. And just to see, kind of took me back to my roots, seeing those guys, the kids, listening to what I was saying and then putting it into practice. And it really gave me more understanding and more appreciation for the game. So when I re-signed with Miami, I really wanted to take advantage of that, and I really appreciated just all the hard work that went into it, but just to be around the guys and to compete again on a high level for me was everything. So I wanted to cherish each and every day because it showed me exactly how precious it is and how fast it can be taken away from you. So I think I just kind of went to work every day with that attitude, and then it just so happened when I came back, we signed Ricky, and to see him work and to see him run the way he did as I elevated from second string to third string to first string, and it's hard not to root for a guy like that. He makes our job really, really easy. So I wanted to protect him, and that first and foremost, and make sure that we could take advantage of his skills. And like I said, just wanted to protect him and be kind of like a big brother, because he was a running back and people were taking a lot of shots at him. So that was kind of the thing as far as that goes. Like I said, I was just appreciating every moment, every minute of it.
I like
that. Before Savak goes on to the next question, I promised our friend Seth on the fish tank, as Ian said, Ricky quoted that on the fish tank, and I was talking to Seth, one of the co-hosts of the fish tank, and he was like, "You got Jamie Nails? I got to get Jamie Nails on the fish tank." So make sure after this show, hit up Seth Levitt or the fish tank on Twitter. They want you to come on. They want to do an interview with you. So I promised them that I would send you his way.
No problem. I sure will.
All right.
But that was cool. Sounded like you were kind of living each day at work as if it was your last day on the job. I think that's a great way to approach it. And we actually spoke to Chris Chambers, and he had glowing things to say about Ricky's work ethic too. Said he did everything like a champion. But we had Ricky on the show a few weeks ago, and I think he's done a great job showing fans and everyone why it was so important for him to walk away when he did. Personally, how were you affected by his choice, and did he seek your guidance or your support or counsel when he had to make that enormous move?
No, well, actually, we never really did a whole lot of hanging out off the field or a whole lot of talking. I mean, I think our thing was more in between the lines. When he retired, a lot of people had a lot of different perceptions about Ricky, but he's one of the smartest guys that I've ever been around, and he would rather read books than watch TV and stuff like that. Me, I'm watching TV shows, laughing stuff, just regular things. But he was on a whole nother level, man. His thought process was a lot deeper than a lot of people really, really, really knew. And if you got to know him and got to really see, just some of the people that when we went on road trips, the people that he that would be waiting on him, a lot of older people that you would think that You get to a town, you want to see your homeboys, you want to go hang out with your friends or whatever. But he would have older people that were, I'm assuming, I know he knew them, but his mind, like I say, he was more, I would say kind of advanced or a little older in his thinking. And he didn't get caught up into the whole, the atmosphere of all the limelight that came with it. I think he was used to it, but like I said, he was just on something else. So, when he decided to step back, I knew he had his reasons. I didn't know what they were for, but I knew he had his reasons, and I respected those reasons. And like I said, if it was a move that he made, I knew it was calculated. I knew it was well thought through. So, I support anything that he, anything that he does or any ideas that he has.
It's funny you said that he's on kind of a different level. We had him on, and the last question I asked him, I was like, "Ricky, I'm going to give you a real softball question. What's the secret to life?" And most people would just laugh and tell me to shut up. He had an answer, and it's up there on my whiteboard still because he just nailed it. He is just on another level. I'll show it since you can't read it. He said, 1, show up. 2, keep it moving no matter what happens. And 3, enjoy the ride. I mean, he had that answer like that. Like he is, and it's said to that he has a photographic memory too. So he's definitely on just a different level.
Exactly. That's a great answer. I mean, if you take everything that he says and in succession, I mean, those are great ideas. I mean, I don't know what the key to life is. The only thing I guess I would probably go spiritual and just say, put all my trust and faith in God.
Yeah.
That's normally anybody else. All we can say is all I know is what's worked for me.
Exactly.
JB, personally, Savak is probably sick of hearing about this, but I cannot get over the 2002 season. That team was so talented. You know, on the line with you was Tim Ruddy. You and Tim Ruddy were just mauling in the middle. Ricky led the NFL in rushing that year. The defense had 4 All-Pros, 6 Pro Bowlers. You know, before Jay Fiedler went down, he was 7-1 before he broke his thumb. But, you know, after that injury, it kind of fell apart. But how special do you think that team could have been if Jay stayed healthy and you guys really had a chance to keep it moving?
I think we really had a shot to go all the way. I know that year I played in Buffalo with a lot of Hall of Famers. And even on those teams, I still never felt as confident on the team as I did when I walked out on the field in 2002. I used to laugh because in practice I wouldn't say a whole lot, but once we got out on the field, it was like I was a whole nother person. My mom used to tell me, you know, I was a bully, so I could be a bully on the field. And once we got out there, I used to tell guys, I used to just say, you know, it's only a matter of time. You know, y'all might have stopped us the first drive or the second drive, but once this machine cranks up, it's only a matter of time. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I mean, the guys that we had in those positions, the guys, like you said, that were on the line with me, we had a real brotherhood. We were willing to sacrifice for one another. And I think it was just a great mix of guys, older veterans, younger guys. And, you know, I mean, when Jay got hurt, it really hurt us. But we still tried to go carry on. And then I actually ended up getting hurt. So that really, and I mean, when I got hurt on that Raiders game, that was really disappointing. Like I cried like a baby because I didn't want to miss what was going on. But, you know, like I said, I've never been more confident or felt as good about a team ever as walking out there on that field in 2002.
I miss watching you bully up the middle. You sure you don't have a year or 2 left in you? You get out there and bully a few guys. I miss you bullying people in the middle.
I'm too old now.
You sure? Because we could try and do a reunion type of deal. We had Chris Chambers told us Brian Flores asked if he could still play.
No, I'm too old right now. I'm too old. I'm out of shape, man. I couldn't. You know, I always say I got 3 plays in me, but other than that, it'll be over with. So one series, that's it.
It's really amazing.
We get a first down, they got to substitute some.
It is really amazing, Jamie, when you say, you know, how you were a bully on the field and then you could be this inspiration and be this amazing person, you know, and I've seen that with a lot of NFL players that I've met that, you know, some of these guys are just gentle giants off of the field, you know, and I've met Cam Wake a couple of times at various events, and he's probably the quietest guy you'll ever meet, but you see him on a football field and he's that bully. He's the monster, right, that you always see on there. And when he makes a sack, you see a different side of him that you won't see off of the field. And I just so amazed that professional athletes are able to bring themselves to that level during a sporting event, and then they could come back down and be a normal person off the field and just be just a good human being off the field. I always find that to be fascinating, to be honest with you.
Well, one for me, when I was growing up, I've always been big, so I knew that was intimidating already. And so in order to engage people or get people to just not see my side, I try to smile and laugh a lot. You know, try not to be so imposing, and you know, just be able to, like I say, mingle with people. But on the football field, it's different because I mean, you put in all this work, and especially playing line, you know, there's no glory in it. There's no fanfare. But there's no other rush that I can say I can find than taking another 300-pound man and taking him somewhere he doesn't want to go, keeping him from getting, protecting my quarterback, keeping him from getting to the run. I mean, there's no other rush like that, man on man. People get in bar fights and stuff like that, or fights and you go to jail or all those things, but out there it's legal. It's legal. Anything you want to do is legal. So, I mean, to be able to know that I can push you around, move you around, and then talk a little trash while we're doing it. You know what I mean? Because I figure if I talk trash to you, that's gonna make you up your game. And if I can still push you around, then you got to respect me after that. So that was kind of my thing, And then, like I said, just being a bully. We on offense, I played defense growing up through high school and college, and when I got to college, they moved me to offense. So defensive guys always talk trash. I mean, they always talk trash. And when I always say I try to play offensive line with a defensive mentality. So I figure, hey, if they talking trash, we can talk trash. Yep. And sometimes guys would get on me like, hey man, be quiet. But I'm like, nah, man, the hell with that. We going in.
The football field's the one place where bullying is actually encouraged. I mean,
exactly. Because like I said, those guys, they talk plenty of trash, and I mean, so I just figure, hey, right back at you. You know what I mean? So let's get it. Yeah. And for 3.5, 4 hours, I can go crazy and then just kind of bring it back down and get it all out and then go back to normal.
So it's actually, it's kind of a great segue to my next question, Jamie, which is in practice, you had to go against guys like Timbo and Daryl Gardner, and the guy I purposely wore this jersey because I knew you went up against Zach Thomas. So was there anyone really on other teams that compared to how hard practice must have been against the Miami Dolphins defense, who were guys maybe outside of Miami that were really challenging to face? Was there anyone that stuck out in your mind that you can remember and say, this guy was really hard to protect the quarterback or protect the running back against?
Probably say Richard Seymour. He was pretty good, real nifty with his hands, good body control. So he would sometimes he could use my aggression against me. So I would have to think about some other things besides being aggressive with him. But as far as with Timbo and those guys in practice, we fit up hard and we go hard, but there was never any live action. So I mean, just the looks that they gave, especially with the way that they protected Zach and the way Zach could run. I mean, that was great for anybody else because I knew if I could block those guys, then in the game it would be easy. So it was great. It was great looks, but like I said, we rarely got a chance to go live one-on-one. But coming from Buffalo, and that was the thing that I noticed when I got to Miami. It was a defensive-oriented team. And the defense kind of controlled the pace and what everything that went on. And I kind of wanted to bring, having played against those guys in live action, I knew what they can do. They knew what I could do. So there was there was a healthy respect. But at the same time, I wanted the offense to adopt that same mentality that they had on defense.
I like that. I like that a lot. And speaking of that Mauler mentality, actually, it kind of reminds me of one of our rookies. Solomon Kinley actually wears 66 like you did.
Yeah.
And seems to have that same kind of attitude that you brought. So have you gotten a chance to see him play? And, I mean, can you see any similarities in his game to yours?
Well, I see a lot of similarities. He's very aggressive. He's good on his feet. And not just him, but the line in general. I think we have a good young line. I think once they get those two bookends to protect Tua, like once he takes over, once they get those two bookends, I think they can take off. The sky's the limit. I mean, because like I said, they have a good young line, good aggressive line, and they open up some holes. They protect pretty well for Fitz. And like I said, I just think. I don't know his progression yet, but I've just been watching. I just can imagine some of the things I saw out of Tua in college, and with some of the way he can move and stuff like that. Throw him behind those guys, and I'm looking for something pretty special, man. I mean, I really am.
There was a play against Buffalo where Kinley was a little bit up the field, just bullying a guy to the ground, and I was like, I had a flashback. I was like, is that Jamie Nails or what year is this?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta ask you before I move on to the next question. You talk about the trash talking, and we talked about some of the guys you play with. You know, Jason Taylor, Tim Bowens, Daryl Gardner, Madison, Surtain, Adelaide, Gunlier, Marion.
Yes.
Who of that group was the trash talkers? Who was the one that would really get at it?
I think, well, probably the Sam and Pat were probably the two that really go at them. JT, he talks a little trash too. Tim Boy and Daryl, they were more just their physical presence. When you saw them, you know, you kind of just okay, you know, they don't need to say.
They're doing the work. They're doing the work. They don't need to say anything, right? They just do the work.
No comment necessary.
You know, exactly. Just their presence was you know, Zach never really talked a lot. I mean, he just kind of just straight football. You know, it was just football. But you know, you hear Sam and Pat and those DBs and JT, they really like to get in guys' heads, and they were able to do that because they were that good. You know, so that's what I was saying. When you're really good and you're talking trash and you're still beating the person that you're playing against, they have to respect you, man. I mean, they have to respect you. You can't say, oh man, he just whooped your ass and he was talking trash the whole time. So you gotta respect that, man. You gotta respect that.
So, Jamie, you played on a veteran established line with your time in Miami. But can you shed some light on how hard it has to be for this group? We have 4 new starters. We got 2 rookie starters. How hard is it for these guys to gel and get that chemistry? Especially, I mean, in the wild card time of COVID, where we didn't even have the full off season, we had no preseason. Can you shed any light on how hard it must be for these guys to come together and you know, first time playing together?
I mean, I can only imagine, because especially as linemen, you need repetition. You need work together. You know, with the pandemic, I don't know how much they were able to actually get out on the field and get a feel for each other. You know, every guy blocks differently, even though they teach the same technique. Every guy blocks differently, and you got to kind of get a feel for when, you know, what the guy next to me is going to do. When do I need to come off of this block? How do I know he has it secure? So they didn't have a lot of repetition. I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure they didn't just beat each other to death. So it's going to take a while. You know, I mean, you need those preseason games, those practices, that actual live action for a lineman. I mean, it's kind of hard to get out and replicate through a walkthrough exactly what's going to happen in the game. So as far as the physicality of it, I think they'll I would say, what is this, week 5? I would say probably by game 7 or 8, you'll start to see them gel, and really things will start to really pick up because they've been in the live action. They've had an opportunity to see what's going on. For the rookies, their eyes are wide open right now. They're still getting adjusted to seeing guys, you know, that that are way better than they were in college. So that they have to get that under their belt. But I think by mid-season, by the time they get a few more games under their belt, I think things will start to take off.
Just in time for the Jets, back to back. I think that would be perfect timing for everybody to start gelling, right?
Yeah, that'd be a great time. Great time.
So you know, with this unit, and I think the reason that we're asking you a lot of offensive line questions, because I think you probably pay a lot more attention to what's happening on the offensive line, where probably everybody else is watching the quarterback, running back, and wide receivers. And we're like, as long as the quarterback's not getting sacked, then we're not really going to pay that much attention to that offensive line. But I know, because that was what you did, right? That was your role. I'm sure you pay a lot closer attention. So, you know, I think back to the last 10 years, right? And I think back to the 1-15 season, which actually was just about 10 years ago. I think back to all the years that Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback, and I'm sure you were following the team through all those years. Yeah. And I remember seasons where offensive lines were giving up 50 some odd sacks per year, and I think a lot of questions were, could Tannehill survive? And I think that question was answered in year 4, year 5, when he finally got really hurt because because of all the hits that he was taking. But my question to you is, I know we've got a small sample size with this group of players, but even through week 4, they look better than the last 10 years or so of offensive line. So I wanted to get your opinion on where they rank, maybe just even through 4 games, and they're not really truly gelling yet compared to, what we have seen the last 10 years as a Dolphins. What do you think about that?
I think overall the line players getting better are all around the league because, the guys now, they have these camps and these different things that they can go to in high school and college where they're specifically dealing with lineman work, lineman drills and stuff like that. And it allows them to have a lot better technique. They're doing a lot more passing now, so they're not getting beat up and worn down as fast. But I think some of those teams that you were referring to, I think some of the emphasis wasn't on offensive line when they were trying to put those teams together. I think they were looking at more glitz and glamour positions maybe. But I think and they realized after, like you said, after Tannehill got hurt, they had to address the elephant in the room, which was the offensive line. And on any good team, I mean, I don't know how it evolved, but ever since I started playing football when I was 8 years old, we were always told that it starts up front, offensive and defensive line. And somewhere throughout all of that and all these points and all this spread offense and stuff like that, they kind of got figured out we could just put 5 bodies up there as long as we got a quarterback and some receivers that can, get open, we'll be all right. But they started to realize that's for the birds. You get your $100 million quarterback killed, and now you got to put somebody else back there that is not as good. So they're realizing that you have to protect that position, and guys are now. I mean, let's be honest, these guys are in way better shape than we were when I was playing. I mean, I see offensive linemen now with 6-packs, and they walk around with, they look good. So. I mean, I think offensive line play as overall has gotten better, but especially for the Dolphins.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, of course, as we do with basically every guest that we bring on, we have to get a few predictions, if that's all right. I've got 3 for you.
Okay.
The first one is, when do you see Tua making his debut?
I would say probably after week 8. I just think halfway the season, they've given him enough time to watch now. He's a top 5, first round pick. He's a quarterback. They got to start getting. Now I don't know his health situation. I would think that would factor in. But if he's healthy, I think you, at some point in time, I would say halfway the season. No knock on Fitz. I like Fitz, but you got to start getting him out there, getting experience, because if not, he would be a year behind. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I say, I just say week 8, man, it's time to get him on out there. Let's see what he can do. If something happens, if he doesn't look good, you can always just, sit him back down and let him groom him some more. But hey, you got to see what you want to see what you're getting. I mean, and he's had an opportunity to see the live action, to see the speed of the game. So, I mean, and at some point in time, he had to start developing chemistry with those receivers and commanding that offense. So I say, 7-8 games, let's get him out there and see what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and coincides right along with where you said where you kind of predict the offensive line gelling.
Exactly. So that's why I say he have a little better protection, so he just not throwing him to the wolves. You know what I mean? You don't want to get him out there and get him rattled. But like I said, with what I've seen him, what I saw him do at Alabama, and if those young guys continue to improve, I mean, why not? Let's get out there. Who knows? He may do some things. I mean, they kind of threw Patrick Mahomes out there on the whim, and look what he did. So,
I mean, that's the thing. One might be surprised what can be accomplished when you give an accurate passer an extra moment to find his receiver, which
Exactly.
I guess leads us into our next. What do you think the team's record's going to be by the end of this year?
I think, well, depending on the quarterback move, if they make the right move,
It all depends on the answer to the first question.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to work.
I see
I like the hedge. I like the hedge here. That's really good.
if they make the move at quarterback, I think they can finish at least 500 or better.
I like that.
They can finish at least 500 or better.
I love it. Everybody is finding themselves a nice, comfy spot right on the fence. Don't worry, I'm right there with you. I did the same exact thing.
I don't want to say that they have a losing record because I really do believe, and I mean this wholeheartedly. If the line could come along about week 7 or 8, and they can get him in there, I think they can win at least 6 or 7 of those last 8 games. And that's including Buffalo and New England, all those guys. But they have a young guy that I think will bring a little life to that offense. And like I said, that front line with what they're doing and the defense, they're improving each week as well. So
that's right, which I guess takes us to the final question. What's your prediction for this week versus the 49ers?
I think we'll win this week. They got a lot of players banged up. They got quite a few players banged up, but not just because of that. I just think that, like I said, the team's continually to develop, and with those injuries that those guys have, I think that we can capitalize on that.
That was supposed to be our last question for you, Jamie, but I got one more before we let you go.
Okay.
Robert Hunt, the rookie offensive tackle, was asked today that he's been put in at tackle eligible, and what would he do if he actually gets one of those balls thrown to him? So I was just curious if you ever got to line up at tackle eligible and had one of the quarterbacks throw you the ball. Did that ever happen in your career?
Yeah, when I was in Miami, I had to report eligible every field goal and kickoff, extra point. So I wasn't praying for a fire, but I mean, if it ever came about,
you were ready.
I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I had my touchdown dance ready.
You serious? You had your touchdown dance ready?
Yeah, I had it all together, man. I mean, every time I lined up, I think one day in practice we did something where Coach Wanstead had me going against one of the defensive linemen. Just something to pump us up right at the beginning of practice, and I hit him with a double move, and Jay hit me down the middle of the field, and I caught it. So like I said, I was ready, but it never happened. So every time I was going on a field goal or extra point, I would report eligible. And I knew I was going to my corner, and I was hopefully whoever Lindo or whoever was holding the ball could see me and throw it to me. But like I said, it never happened. So I'm not mad it didn't happen. But if it did, I was ready.
That dance, was it going to look like the Icky Shuffle? What were we going to get into there?
I probably did a little more of the Dion Shuffle or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry you never got your touchdown and we didn't get to see the dance. But don't forget to get a hold of Seth on the fish tank. And, thanks for joining us here on the Fin Addicts. And as we do with all our guests, we got to go out the same way. Fins up, baby.
Fins up, Jamie.
Fins up.
Yes, sir. That was totally awesome. Having Jamie Nails and just hearing his stories is just so great to hear what he had to say. I think, Brian, you have to pay some bills, so I'm going to turn it over to you because I think we gotta watch and listen to something here.
Here we go.
It's the Jason Taylor All In for Literacy Virtual Poker Championship Volume 6, hosted by Faded Spade. Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. Play alongside Dolphins legends, TV and radio personalities, and the Fin Addicts. Entry into the qualifier tournaments is a $99 donation to the Jason Taylor Foundation. But you can enter to win a free seat in the tourney simply by subscribing to the Fin Addicts Network on YouTube and DMing us a screenshot of you doing so. What's more, if you finish higher than all 5 Fin Addicts, you will also win this rad mini helmet actually signed by Jason Taylor himself, So what are you waiting for? Go subscribe to us on YouTube and let us know so everyone can go all in on literacy, a word we definitely didn't misspell.
That's awesome. And before we go into our next set of questions, I have to say I have participated in that poker tournament in the past, and the technology is amazing. I unfortunately ended sixth place, and unfortunate because I ended up bankrupting Jason Taylor a couple of times because he bought in a few extra times. But it was a lot of fun. So I highly, highly suggest that everybody get involved in that if they can. It's for a great cause too. Jason Taylor Foundation is one of my favorites. So with that being said, I am going to transition into our game matchup against the Niners. And with us too, I'd like to welcome David Gregg, who has joined the group, and he is going to be able to answer some of these great questions. He's got some great thoughts on the Niners. So actually, David, I'm going to start with you with the first question. Yeah, sorry, I'm putting you right on the spot to start with. So on Tuesday morning, the announcement was made that Ryan Fitzpatrick will continue as a team starting quarterback. So what are your thoughts on the move, and why not Tua yet? What do you think?
Honestly, I think that the plan has all along been to just let Tua sit until later on in the season, closer to that like Thanksgiving kind of time period, maybe even a little bit after. And while it was hard seeing, the Dolphins drive down the field 5 times, kick 5 field goals and not be able to put it in, he had a couple more interceptions. I don't think he played bad enough that, Flores' hand is being forced to push him in, So I think Flores is, maybe made those statements to kind of say to Fitzpatrick, like, hey, when we get down the field, you have to get it in. Like, driving down that far just isn't acceptable. So, maybe it was a little bit of a hint to him, but I don't think it was bad enough that Flores is being forced, his hand isn't being forced. I don't think too many people really saw us, coming out of the first quarter of the season better than 1-3 anyways. So it's not like this has been a huge disaster up to this point. So that's my thoughts on it.
Excellent. Savak, what do you think about that?
I think Savak is frozen, so I'll go ahead and take
Go
that
ahead,
over.
Brian. Yes, sir.
So I was reminded today, Cameron Wolf was on the Joe Rose show, and he brought up the fact that, in training camp, the competition wasn't that close. Ryan Fitzpatrick was far and away the best quarterback in camp, and Tua and Rosen were kind of, battling out for second and third, but it wasn't that close. Hopefully it is getting closer. I'm kind of to the point 1-3. If we go 1-4, I don't think there's much more to wait for. We go 1-4. We're not really playing for this season anymore. You might as well bring Tua in there. The thing is too, I think the team still has life, and the team is still rallying around Fitzpatrick. And, we kicked 5 field goals, but we were right there, and that it's not like we're going out there and losing to the Jags. We're not going out there and losing to the Bengals. We've lost to the Bills, the Patriots, and the Seahawks. All of those teams are going to be playing in January, and we've made all those games pretty close. A play here and a play there, and we're 3-1, So as much as I do want to see Tua, and I'm getting anxious, and I was anxious after 2 interceptions. I guess Fitz has his last stand. He can go out west, make his own destiny as they used to do, and if he gets the win, he keeps his job. If he doesn't get his win, I see no reason Tua doesn't go to Denver as the starter. Savak, what are your thoughts on the team sticking with Fitzpatrick?
I get the patience. I understand if there's a plan, and if there is a plan, by all means, let's see this sucker out. Let's see it through. What I don't particularly care for coming from our team is the ambiguity. Flores tosses out the statement, says, I presume Fitz will be our I mean, if you're going to have that conversation, have that with him behind closed doors. Don't let the media in on this, because you open the door to these kind of conversations that we're having right here. But you do have to wonder if Flores is pulling him aside and saying to him, like, hey, you're kind of making me look like a jackass with some of this play out here, so let's clean it up, or else, people are going to start wondering what's the purpose of keeping the kid on the bench if we're just going to be turning the ball over and losing anyways. But in Fitz's defense, he hasn't been playing terribly. Well, it's the Fitz magic show. Sometimes magic, sometimes tragic. And we've got up and down play, and we have been in each of these games. They have all been close games, so we might as well, let's keep riding with him for now. But I agree with what you just said there. I mean, if we get our asses kicked in this game, what do we really have to lose after that?
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue that we see, especially from the fan base, is no one really knows what we have. We're starting to see around the NFL what these other teams have. We see what Burrow looks like. He looks like he's going to be a great quarterback as long as he doesn't end up with the Tannehill syndrome where he gets his butt beat too much and then he ends up getting injured, because when he looks on the field, he looks a little tiny compared to some of those defenders, right? And then you see what they're doing in San Diego, right, with Burrows, and he was the quarterback selected right after Tua, and you're already seeing people are saying this guy is going to be successful in the NFL. So now 2 out of the top 6 picks. You see what they have. You see the skills that they have, and you see that they look like they are going to be successful in our league. We still don't know that, and I think that in some cases people are getting very antsy because they want to know, they want to see it, But then the other part is there's about 50% of people that probably want to see him before the bye week, and then there's about another 50 that want to see him after the bye week or in 2021. And those people that don't want to see him basically are worried about his health. But my only question and my only response to that is, if he wasn't healthy enough to take the field, then why would you make him a second string quarterback? Right? Mm-hmm. Because the thing about that is Fitz, he's one injury or one hard hit away from jumping onto the field. So it cannot be because of the injury, or else they wouldn't have him as the number 2. Ultimately it's going to be up to the coach. And I think to something I think that was said a little earlier, I believe once you take Fitzpatrick out and you put Tua in, there is no turning back. I don't think you will take him back out, even if he has a 5-interception game. I think it's going to be learning for him, and I think the coaches, because this is his quarterback. For as long as Coach Flores is coaching the Miami Dolphins, this is going to be the quarterback that is tied to him for his entire career with our team, and hopefully it's going to lead to good things. But we don't know, and I think that's the biggest issue, that I think everybody just wants to feel better. That yes, he was a great high pick. He is as great as he was at Alabama, and we're going to win some playoff games, right? All right. So with that being said, so the 49ers, they are dealing with some major injuries. Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, they are gone. Richard Sherman is not going to be able to play. He's on IR. However, they continue to still play well on defense. They've allowed the 3rd fewest points per game at 17, almost 18 points per game. They have the 2nd fewest passing yards per game with 184 on average. And they are in the middle of the road when it comes to running yards, which is about 110 yards average per game for the first 4 games. So I want to throw this out to you guys. And Brian, I'm going to ask you, what are the chances that the Dolphins offense is going to be able to do something against this defense, even though they're injured and even though they've still been playing solid, even though they're injured?
Yeah. And I mean, you got to keep in mind too, we might be down a left tackle, but Fitzpatrick's got to get hot, and he's got to get hot early. He's got to get some of these playmakers involved that we haven't, really done too great of a job the past couple of weeks. Gesicki's only caught 2 passes the past 2 weeks. We see flashes of Burrito when they give him the ball. He makes things happen. So we got to try to get him in space. We got to start doing some things that they haven't seen on tape too. They're going to be prepared for what we've done. So let's get some more Lynn Bowden at Wildcat. Maybe activate Malcolm Perry at Wildcat. Let's get an end around to Jakeem Grant. But we definitely gotta get Parker going. We gotta get Burita going. We gotta try to run the ball because it's their biggest weak link. Get Gaskin going, get Burita going, and then we got nothing to lose. We're 1-3. Throw it all out on the field. You're on the road. Just let it loose. And for the love of God, let's throw the ball further than 20 yards down the field.
Amen, Amen.
Where is the 50-50 ball to Devontae Parker? Throw me a 40-yard pass to Devontae Parker. Let him get a chance to make a play. Like I said, he's throwing the interceptions on the 15-yard routes. Might as well throw it 40 yards and see what happens. That's how I see, if we're going to have a chance, that's how we create some offense, just like we did last year. Let's have that Philadelphia game all over again where we're just throwing it left and right to Gesicki and Parker down the field.
David, what do you think? How are the Dolphins going to attack this defense?
Well, the first thing is looking at like how many yards they're giving up a game. To me, it's always a little bit skewed because like you have to consider part of that was they played the Giants one of those weeks, and there's only been 4 weeks so far, so those numbers are a little skewed. The other thing is even when we've played against good defenses who have had, their best cornerbacks in, we played against Stephon Gilmore, we played against the Bills and their vaunted defense, we were still able to move the ball. Devontae Parker has been able to catch the ball and move downfield against basically anyone who he's faced this year. So I'm not too concerned about that. Richard Sherman is out, so I don't know who they have that they're going to match up against him. Like Brian was saying, we do need to get Mike Gesicki more involved. I was a little disappointed to see that after having a monster game against, I think it was the Bills, he's just kind of fallen off a bit. So we definitely need to get him back more involved. And Jakeem Grant, he's just unbelievably fast and is just a gadget player who you can use all over. We have the offensive weapons to use, and Gailey just needs to get a bit more creative with how he uses them. Getting Jakeem Grant some more coming out of the backfield. He had a huge gain when he lined up as a running back, and then we only saw that happen once. So he needs to get a bit more creative in how he calls the games. Like you said, they have their two star players in Thomas and Bosa. They're out. Ansa is also looking like he's going to be missing this week, so we definitely need to take advantage of that weakened defensive front.
So, and I'm gonna let Savak answer too. But my question to you guys too is Preston Williams on a milk carton missing somewhere? Because I haven't really heard his name very much. Is he missing? Is it too early in the season to say that? Savak, what do you think?
That was funny, actually. I questioned that on a recent episode. I said he must be wearing camouflage out there because Fitz does not appear to see him. But I really actually like what David said there. He alluded to their average points allowed per game is a little bit skewed because two of the teams they played actually are both those New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. So I don't know. It does kind of weigh the average down a little bit. But all things considered, they're still playing fairly well, which is a testament to how well coached this team is. So, of course, we can't look past them, but it should be a very winnable game. We've got the offensive pieces. We have the weapons. We just need to get creative in how we use them. Get some of these quick guys out into space. I mean, if you have to get them out of the backfield, hit them in the flat, do whatever is necessary, but get hands of the playmakers, get them in the end zone. I mean, I talked about this in the lead up to our last game, getting the running backs involved, in the passing game. I was really hoping Myles Gaskin would find the end zone. Hopefully he'll do it this week. That'd be cool.
Are there some fantasy football implications there, Savak? I just I see it. Yes, just a little. Okay, all right, good. Well,
Just a pinch.
yeah, and I think we need to, instead of putting 3 points on the board, we need to get those 7 points on the board, and I think that will make the biggest difference.
See, I like that too, and we need to be fielding an offense that Coach Flores can show some faith in, because about 4, I'm pretty sure, I was looking into it last week, 4 of those 5 field goals were kicked at a down and distance of 4th and 5 or below. So that tells me that Coach Flo is a little bit concerned about his offense's ability to gain that small amount of yardage. We need that to change.
I really like to see Jordan Howard not dressed this week, and not like that, Savak. Get your mind out of the gutter.
You're thinking of Manscaped, aren't you? I know you're thinking of Manscaped right now, but okay.
We don't need Jordan Howard on the field this week. We saw what he did. Last week was embarrassing. He's making Kalen Ballage look like, Barry Sanders. Give him a week to rest, think about what he's done, and see if he can get some motivation. But, let's dress Malcolm Perry instead of Jordan Howard. Let's dress Lynn Bowden instead of Jordan Howard. If we need a short yardage back, we got Chandler Cox. Christian Wilkins could do that short yard run. Put Howard on the bench and let's roll with Burita and Gaskin and let him go. I think it was like 1st and 10, and the drive was just over because Jordan Howard went 3 yards backwards for no reason whatsoever. So I think that would be another good way to get this offense going, is just keep him in Miami. He doesn't even need to go to San Francisco.
Yeah. And you know what? He's getting paid a lot of money. He's getting paid a lot more money than many of those other running backs, and the expectation is really a lot higher for him, and he has absolutely not lived up to that expectation. And the question could be, is he still having some lingering issues from the injuries that he had when he was in Philadelphia? You just don't know. And it could be that he's hiding it, that he's not sharing it with anybody. But, you can tell, anybody who watches those games, you can tell that Howard is not the same player that he was when he was in Philadelphia. And I keep saying, maybe next week he's going to get better. Maybe next week he's going to get better. But through 4 weeks, it's just not there. And even Patrick Laird would probably do better, because we saw him a lot last year, and he really had some great speed. And I think the thing that we've seen, and he's a little taller, he's a bigger target. You look at Chandler Cox, you look at Laird, you look at Myles Gaskin. Those are all your Alvin Kamara type players, that they're smaller. They get through those smaller holes. I just think he's just become a bigger target. But maybe he does. Maybe Coach Flores does that. He's done that before in the past to really get guys going. And maybe he has them sit for 1 week. Maybe he says, you know what, we're going to have you sit for a couple weeks because we feel like we've got other players that will help us more than you're helping us right now. So with that said, actually, now that we're talking to running backs, it kind of transitions well to the other side of the ball. So the Niners, they have consistently had a great and tough running game. When you think about their Super Bowl run last year, I want to say it was a division final. I don't think I'd ever seen a playoff game, especially a championship game like that, where they had run the ball so much. So right now, they are it doesn't matter who holds the ball. It doesn't matter the name on the back of that shirt. The offensive line is still able to make holes for the running backs. So what does the Dolphins defense need to do to really neutralize the run? Because right now the Dolphins are giving up about 125 yards per game on the ground. And the 49ers are gaining about 128 yards per game. And again, some of that was against the Jets and some of that was against the Giants. But still, being able to average 128 yards per game that's a solid number for any team. So, David, I'm going to start with you again. What do you think?
So my first thing is again, that number is something that's a bit skewed again with our defense. So we've given up 125 yards average. However, the only time we went over 115 yards was against the Patriots in week 1, where we gave up 217 yards. Against the Bills, we gave up 112. Against the Jaguars, we held them to 72, and everyone was so impressed with their running back. And then last week, we held Chris Carson and company to 98 yards. So our running game has definitely improved our run defense. I would say it still concerns me a bit facing this offense. Shanahan puts forward a great game plan with his running back, so that should concern you no matter how good your run defense is. I think really we're going to need to see a lot of KVN in the middle. Kyle Van Noy, he's got to clean up in there. And then Baker, one of his biggest issues, I think, is that he second guesses himself a lot. He's fast, so he's able to recover, but I think he kind of hesitates sometimes, and it takes him a couple extra seconds to figure out where the ball carrier is going, and he needs to clean that up because every time he hesitates and second guesses himself, that gives the ball carrier an extra 2 to 3 yards on the ground. So in order to really stop this defense, you've got to play fast football up front. Our ends are doing a much better job at securing and setting the sides and containing and making sure the run plays are coming up the middle. So I think that really it's going to be those linebackers. And another play that I'm surprised I haven't seen a lot is Gacho's name. I haven't really heard much about him, and he was one of the top tacklers in terms of interior defensive linemen. So that concerns me a little. So he's in a contract year, so we need to see a really big game from him this week.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we have an advantage against the run this week, I think, compared to the last few weeks. Some of those numbers are a little skewed because, we didn't give up 200 yards like we did to the Patriots, but we gave up 300 and 400 passing yards. We don't have that quarterback this week that we're going against that is as dynamic as Josh Allen or Russell Wilson or Gardner Minshew. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be this week, but if it's Garoppolo, if it's Mullins, they're not going to be doing RPOs. They're not going to be running around back there. So, we also get Byron Jones back. So let's play some man on man, throw 8 or 9 guys up in the box and commit to not letting Mostert and McKinnon beat us and maybe double Kittle and see what happens.
I agree. And Savak, I'll close it with you. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know the guys have come up with some good ideas on how to defend the run, but what do you think?
Yeah, pretty sure they nailed it all. We're going to have to crowd the box because just like Brian was alluding to there, we're not messing with a dynamic quarterback. This isn't one of the top guys or 2 of the top guys, depending on who we face or whatever combination they roll out there with. So it should be they're going to be trying to run this offense through their run game. That's what we got to focus on stopping. I'd like to see a better performance out of the linebackers, as David was alluding to. I'd really like to see Kamu Grugier-Hill appear a little bit more. He's very fast. He's an incredibly athletic linebacker. I feel like we don't hear his name said enough. I guess I was going to segue that into how to cover George Kittle.
Do it.
It's a great question.
How do you cover George Kittle, Savak? Please enlighten us. Take us there.
Well, that's kind of the direction I was leaning in. I know we've got all these secondary pieces, but like I said, Grugier-Hill is very fast. He would probably be one to put in there. You're probably going to want to double cover George Kittle because who else are they throwing to? I think Deebo Samuel is coming back, but who knows how good he's going to be. Coming back, fresh legs and stuff. So that's probably going to be the key. You're going to want to double cover him with whoever's not crowding the box to stop the run.
Mm-hmm. There was an article I saw today actually that talked about Eric Rowe, how he's been able to really blanket a lot of the tight ends for the various teams that we've played against. Now, and I was looking on my phone here. That's why my head's down. I apologize. Kittle had 15 receptions last week, 183 yards and a touchdown.
Jeez.
15 receptions to one player. So if you're not paying attention to him and you're not giving him the recognition that is necessary, he will burn you by himself. He almost had 200 yards all by himself. And that was against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is supposed to have a really good defense. So, that's surprising. But I think to Brian's point, the fact that we're not going to have to really deal with a running quarterback, I think really is a benefit for the Dolphins, and I think it's going to help them in the long run, because this will be the first time this season that you don't have to have like a spy on the quarterback, unless you're so far back covering, so far along the field, they're going to run kind of like you don't expect Fitzpatrick to really run, but he still ends up running. But to cover Kittle, that is a job. That is a job all in itself, and hopefully Coach Flores is coming up with the idea. And I'll tell you, we need to figure that out, because for how many seasons did we see every tight end that played against the Dolphins have like a Pro Bowl type game, not to mention seeing Gronkowski twice a year, right? But everybody else, and we've got to figure that out. So hopefully this coming Sunday, it will be figured out, and Coach Flores will put the right type of defense on it. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, with that, why don't we? I don't think there is an answer for that, honestly. Right. And I think maybe Eric Rowe over the top, and we get Jerome Baker underneath. But I think this is a great time to go ahead and look at the injury report that we got going on for this week, because it brings up some really interesting points here. Let me share that with everybody. Can everybody see the injury report?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're good to go. Nice. So here we got. So we have a problem. The biggest one being Austin Jackson did not participate the last 2 days. He's suffering from our left tackle. His replacement is Julian Davenport, who hasn't played that great. Solomon Kinley's also been hampered a bit with the foot, but he did return in full. Shaq Lawson's been limited with his shoulder, and he had an illness. The big news on here, which we got to be really excited about, is Byron Jones participated in full.
Thank goodness.
For the first time all season, I mean, we had him week one kind of with Xavier Howard, but Xavier Howard only played about half the snaps. So we can line up there with that $50 million secondary of Jones and Howard. So that's going to be nice. We don't have the full report for San Francisco for Thursday's practice, but if you look at it, as we talked about, Ansah did not participate. Garoppolo's limited. Raheem Mostert is still limited. Dante Pettis is limited. So we're not sure exactly who's going to go out there, which I think begs a really hard question for us is, dealing with that, the uncertainty of the injury report of who's going to play quarterback, who's going to play running back. And I mean, those two running backs in San Francisco are completely different. McKinnick and Mostert are different beasts altogether. So it's gonna change up how we play. So it'll be interesting on Friday to see when these final reports come out. Maybe we can get together a better game plan. But that Jimmy G or Nick Mullins that's a big difference. So I'm interested to see how that turns out, and there's no real answer on it. I guess we'll just kind of have to see what happens on Sunday. There was a really interesting quote today from, I'm sorry, Ian, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say it's my birthday on Sunday. So I'm all I want for my birthday. I don't want anything else except the Miami Dolphins victory. That is all. That is all I want. Is that too much to ask for, guys?
No,
is that too much to
all.
ask? All right.
Not at all.
So the Robert Hunt went to he was interviewed today at the podium, and he had a really, really fun question asked to him. He's been, if you guys have been noticed, the last couple of weeks he's lined up at tackle eligible. So Savak, why don't you go ahead and read this quote from Robert Hunt?
No. The reporter asked him, I see you've been lining up as the tackle eligible, the sixth O-lineman, so obviously there are things you can do from that package. What are your hands like if they call a play? And to that, Hunt responded, if they did call that play, I think I'd do well with it. I think I've got really, really good hands. I used to call myself a little Randy Moss back in the day, but I don't want to put that out there. And then if I end up getting that chance and I drop it, then everybody will be like, oh, man. So I won't say too much about that.
That's great. That's great. Again, hedging himself.
I would love to see Robert Hunt catch a touchdown pass. And he did say, too, today in his press conference that he has been playing a little bit of left tackle. He has been playing a little bit of right tackle more than guard. So if Austin Jackson is unable to go, maybe Robert Hunt's the guy to take over for Jesse Davis, and Jesse Davis moves over to the left side. We'll have to see come Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will really be probably the biggest test for the offensive line, and this will be something that I've always said that in the past, maybe the Dolphins had a good core of offensive linemen to start games, but if someone were to get hurt and someone couldn't play, you saw a drastic drop-off, either it be with penalties, either it be with just horrible play. They just couldn't get their stuff together. So, if Austin can't go and you've got Robert Hunt that's on that starting line and they play well, that'll make me feel even better about the offensive line, knowing that not just the starters are a good group, but you've got those backups that are talented and will step in when necessary too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've got really our couple of final questions to close us out tonight. First question, and I am going to pose this to Savak first. Who would you say are the X factors for both teams on Sunday?
I think with us getting Byron Jones back, it's going to be our secondary, I believe. Well, let me say secondary and linebacking core. And with the 49ers, honestly, I'm just going to say Kittle. I think Kittle is the main guy there. It's the main cog in the machine aside from their run game. And if we manage to shut down the run game, that's who they're going to try and lean on. So that's what I'm thinking.
Excellent. How about you, David? Who's the X factor for both teams?
So for the Dolphins, I'm gonna say surprisingly, I think Byron Jones coming back this week isn't as big as a deal as it might have been for us against some of the other teams. 49ers, they're not like Seattle. They don't have a Metcalf. They don't have a Diggs. So I think this is a game where Igbenogany and Howard could have handled it themselves, and just getting Byron Jones back against a wide receiver core that really the only player whose name stands out is Debo, and we're not even sure if he's going to be there. So I don't think that side of the secondary is as important. I think having Eric Rowe and maybe Grugier Hill, whoever is covering the tight end, I think that's going to be our X factor for us. Just because you can't allow Kittle to have 180 whatever yards a game. You do that, I don't care who you are, you're losing.
It's actually a fun fact there, by the way. Kittle is the first 49er since Terrell Owens to have 15-plus receptions in a game. The only other player to do this in franchise history was Jerry Rice back in '94.
Wow.
That puts him in some good category there.
I like that. So Rice and Kittle. So, yeah, I think whoever is facing up against Kittle is going to be our X factor, our key guy to stopping this 49ers team. And then I think the 49ers, Kittle is an obvious one, but then I think it's going to come down to their run game. Like Brian was saying, McKinnick and Mustard, they're two different
Colonel
backs.
Mustard in the library with the candlestick.
With the candlestick. So, if you're just facing McKinnick, it's a lot easier to game plan because while he's a very good back, you're only game planning versus one type of back. Getting Mustard back, which from what I've been hearing from some reports from some guys I know out there, it sounds like Mustard's going to be back. And if he's back, that's going to open up their defense a lot more because you have those two very different types of back. Pairing that with Kittle, that's a dangerous offense.
Absolutely. Brian, what are your thoughts? Anything different from Savak and David?
Yeah, I don't have an X factor for the 49ers. I don't really care what they do. Honestly.
I love that.
As we all don't.
But we have X factors for sure. Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are back. And as was mentioned, they're not going against superstar wide receivers. They should be able to make some plays. They should, we should be able – we have not been blitzing, so I'm expecting our defense to throw some blitzes, leave those guys on islands, and time to make your money, boys. We paid you a lot of money, Jones and Howard. Let's get Baker in on some blitzes. Let's pick off some passes. Let's get a pick six. If Nick Mullins is out there at quarterback, let's take advantage of it. Kittle's going to cause problems, but, with those two corners, we have the ability to throw a guy underneath Kittle and above Kittle. So we could go on it. On offense, it's what I've already talked about. Throw the ball deep. Preston Williams is not on a milk carton. He's in the game. He's just not getting the looks. Throw the ball to Gesicki. Throw the ball to Williams. Throw the ball to Parker. I don't want to see 10-yard routes to Parker. I want him to go 30 yards downfield, and I want him to jump out of Candlestick Park or whatever they call it these days.
Is that Levi Stadium now? I forget. I don't even know Levi's thing.
Candlestick will always be to me, but throw the ball deep. Throw the ball deep is the X factor. Make some plays. We can't kick 5 field goals. We're not going to drive 90 yards on this team. Throw the ball deep, get an interception or two. It's how Miami's going to win this game.
I want to throw something in there. You're talking about seeing interceptions or two. We all know that Bobby McCain has been a ball hawk in the past, and he's been kind of hot and cold at free safety. And with the 49ers not having any big name threats at receiver besides Kittle, I want to see McCain really step into that role this week and just really range around the field, get out there and just track the ball because he has the ability to do that. I think he's just kind of gotten in over his head a bit with trying to set up the defense and then focus on his play, but without having those big name receivers out there and having Byron Jones and Xavier Howard out there, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of him and hopefully will allow his game to open up and be able to track some balls.
You're definitely not wrong. And so I'm going to go a different route. Actually, Brian, you kind of touched on one of them, but I'm going to go on the San Francisco 49ers. And we haven't talked about this kid, and I've been very impressed with him as I've watched the 49ers games. Brandon Ayuk. I don't know if you've seen this kid or not, but he jumps about 5 feet in the air, and he jumps over defenders, clears them without touching them. And the guy is so fast. So they run plays for him, not just at wide receiver position, but he's been running for over 30, 40 yards on the running game. So I think that's somebody, because if you hear what we just said, right? We said you got to cover George Kittle from the front and the back, right? We talked about Deebo Samuel, who's another one of their stars, right? So what about this other guy, who's very talented, who's we've seen so far in the first couple of weeks? So anyway, that's the X factor, I think, for them. And I think if they can get him going, it's going to be something that the Dolphins really probably didn't prepare as much for. And then the other one, and I say Preston Williams, because, again, what have we all been talking about? We've been talking mainly about Devontae Parker. He's having a Pro Bowl year. We've talked about Mike Gesicki, how he had the great game in those 2 games where he really didn't do much, and he should be doing a lot more. But Preston Williams, if you can get him going, and then all of a sudden now you've got a wide open field because you've got 3 receivers, that are talented, that can catch that ball, or maybe that 50-50 ball you were talking about, Brian. I think the Dolphins can have success. So I'm going to go with Preston, also partly because I felt bad about saying he was on a milk carton. So, all right, with that, guys, we're going to go to the final piece, which is game predictions. And I know, so I started with you last time, so I'm going to go the opposite way just because I like breaking the rules. So, Brian, game prediction. What's the score going to be on Sunday?
We have to win. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 34-13. We win in a rout.
I love it. That'd be awesome. What about you, David? What do you think?
I'm going to say close. I'm going to say 31-17. I like the idea of just really routing them this week. Just the Dolphins showing up. I think that just with Kittle and the running backs that they have, I think they'll be able to get out 2 touchdowns. But I think other than that, I think this Dolphins defense is going to show up and really do their job and stop them.
Savak, do we have a sweep so far with the Dolphins beating the 49ers? What's your prediction?
Hey, I'm so conflicted because, I've been predicting the Dolphins to win, and I haven't been right yet. So I feel like if I predict that
you would
they're
have been
going
right
to lose.
one time, right?
to the
Against
Jaguars?
Jaguars. One time.
Oh, wait, I did one. But I feel like so.
Or did you take the Jags that week?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So I guess I'm thinking 24-21. I mean, the game's going to be close. I think it won't be as high scoring. You guys are very confident. I like the enthusiasm, but I think both these defenses are going to be showing up wanting to play. 24-21 Miami.
Excellent. So I am going high scoring as well, gentlemen. I am saying Dolphins 34-17. And again, I'm going to tweet them first thing in the morning when I wake up and say, gentlemen, it's my birthday and you need to score at least 30 points and your defense need to do something. And I think they're going to be looking at my tweet as they walk onto the field and they're going to say, we're going to win this one for Big E. So I'm okay with that. And I will take that.
And it's a 4:00 game, right? So you can blow out your birthday candles before the 4:00 game. Ian, thank you so much for taking over the hosting duties today. You did an amazing job, and we'll get out of here with a little bit of housekeeping. Just make sure to subscribe to the Fin Addicts on Miami Dolphins podcast. Leave us a review. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts. Anywhere there's a podcast, you can subscribe to us. Also, follow us on YouTube.com/C/Fin Addicts Network. I think you can take out the C and it still works, but subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at Fin_Addicts. And as the commercial earlier said, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, take a screenshot, DM it to us, email it to us at info@FinAddictsNetwork.com. You will get a chance to play poker with Jason Taylor, OJ McDuffie, Joy Taylor, the Fin Addicts. And if you beat all 5 Fin Addicts, you get a Jason Taylor 2017 Hall of Fame autographed helmet. How could you blow that? Get out there now, subscribe to YouTube, send us that screenshot. Guys, again, Ian, thanks for joining us. David, thanks for joining us. Fins up.
Thank you, guys.
Fins up, everybody. Let's go, Dolphins.
Win for Ian.
Yes.